Welcome to Intimate Fame, conversations with the famous and infamous like you have never heard. Success, love, history alive, history undressed, private lives intimately revealed. What if you were there? Now you are invited. Meet extraordinary people as you never have before. One-person stories like no conversation you have ever been part of. Tonight, The Last Sitting, Marilyn Monroe, Episode 2. June 1962, Los Angeles, California. Marilyn Monroe arrived at the Hotel Bel-Air. She was alone, 5 hours late. She had agreed to a photo sitting for Vogue magazine with the famous photographer Bert Stern. Marilyn never granted photo sittings, but even she knew her career needed the publicity. 2,571 photographs were taken. The photographs would be the final glimpse into the life of the Hollywood icon. 6 weeks after the photo sitting, Marilyn Monroe, the original American goddess, would be dead.
Time for a toast, Bert. Here's to the one thing in my life that I'm proud of. That I've never been a kept woman. Bert, okay. It's been a long night being on the Vogue payroll. We are down to a Pierre Balmain and that Dior chinchilla over there that I plan to pinch. Of all the fashions I've been stuffing myself into, in which fashion do I look better? To be honest, wrap me nude in wet $100 bills and I know I'll certainly feel better. You men, you photographers, you shutterbugs, you're an interesting lot. You loved me. I was happy and sexy whenever you wanted me. Photos of me working the field, showing off tools, playing with barnyard animals. I had no idea what I was doing. I started to learn about the camera and me, about shutterbugs and me. I loved the camera first, then I loved the man behind the camera. Having pictures taken of me as a livelihood was nothing I had planned. I can't imagine just dreaming about that. I guess some girls do. I just never thought about walking around and saying, "Hey, I'm the girl you should take pictures of." I pose nude because that's when I'm most comfortable. Being nude for the camera was easy. Fully clothed, you couldn't get me out of the dressing room. But for the camera, naked. It was a love affair nobody around me was aware of. It was a language of looks. The lenses were the audience, the cameras, the eyes of millions. If you want the truth. Hang on, Bert. Let's stop. Speaking of the eyes of millions on me, I need to check myself in the mirror. This is all for naught if I think I look like crap, right? God, Bert. A box at the mirror. Not even a stool allowed in your makeshift studio. No. Don't you worry, Bert. I'm fine. I'll weather it out. Like a pro. I was self-critical. I analyzed every contact sheet, every negative and print for the tiniest fault. What happened to me here? This is awful. Where did I fail? Mirrors. I sat in front of them constantly. I perfected the lost look in the middle of a smile. A kiss took weeks to achieve. Truman Capote once found me sitting in front of a mirror. He thought I'd been there forever and asked, "Honey, what are you doing?" I told him, "I'm looking at her." All right, I'm fixed. Let's get back to it. Mr. Strasberg told me to be a great actress, I have to start with myself, and I say, with me? Well, I'm not so important. Who the hell does he think I am? Marilyn Monroe. Imminent stardom. That's what they were writing and saying. How about eminent good actress? They had no idea what to do with me. Whatever pizzazz I gave a movie, any actress could have done it for all that was required. I stood statuesque. I stared sexy. I walked sexy. I sang sexy. Honestly, a good-looking buxom monkey could have done it. A girl's got to keep her eye out for opportunity. Opportunity doesn't always look like it's just that. I'm a woman who kept her eye out. An annual celebrity golf tournament. Contract players, the pretty ones, were paid to carry clubs for celebrities. I knew nothing about golf, let alone how to carry clubs. I did, however, know how to wear a tight sweater and pose for photographers like I was having the time of my life. Golfing. I've done worse. I had to survive. I worked Selma Boulevard. I did it for the meals. It wasn't for cash. There were classes, rent, food, getting around. Once I could call the shots, I never fought over money. The arithmetic made me look like a doll. The problem was they wouldn't let me look at the scripts. They wouldn't let me read the character I was to play. No choice in the parts I took. I wanted better scripts, better roles. I pick the directors. I pick what's good for me. The Asphalt Jungle was the first time anyone took me seriously. By seriously, I mean something more than, well, all of this. All of me. Lots of speculation about how I got the role. Mr. Houston not helping any by saying we were close, or that he discovered me. Here's the truth. John Huston was into horses and gambling, and he didn't give a damn about his debt. I knew about this side of him not because we were close. Do you know the phrase, the kindness of strangers? The kindness of strangers. It's from a play. Under contract, if they weren't going to use us, the studio gave some the chance to go over to the Actors Laboratory, a hangout for New York actors and writers and directors. A very intimidating gang. They didn't make much money being talented New York theater people at Hollywood, and trust me, they didn't hesitate to let you know about it. I guess the studio was hoping something might rub off on us, acting-wise. I got to see a one-act play by Tennessee Williams called Portrait of a Madonna. Hume Cronin directed his wife, Jessica Tandy. People at the lab were over the moon for Miss Tandy. So much so that Mr. Williams wrote more words for her, including the line, kindness of strangers. And the next year they went to Broadway and called it A Streetcar Named Desire. I heard later they were all still griping about not making any money. I've had a few strangers who were kind to me. More strangers than so-called friends that were kind. Okay, Bert. You're back to your Polaroids and your mysterious ways, and I need to get off my feet. This fashion weighs more than me, and the box for a chair has to go. No, no, no. You play with your toys. I'll grab a real chair from your barricade up front. The kindness of strangers. The Carrolls I met at the charity golfing event. They took me in, something they did for young actresses when they saw a spark. I stayed at their horse ranch or their Hollywood apartment when I was strapped or just needed some boosting up. That's better. I do love champagne. Do you love champagne, Bert? Before Mr. Houston was saying we were close and that he discovered me, he had horses he kept out at the Carrolls' ranch. He owed the Carrolls about 20 grand. He stopped by one weekend when I was there. Honestly, Bert, you're relentless with the Polaroid. What is it you see? Never mind. Shoot away. Mr. Carroll told him flat out he was going to sell Mr. Houston's horses unless Mr. Houston gave me a screen test for Jungle, and then another test, then again and again, if Mr. Houston got their drift, until he saw that I was right for the part, like the Carrolls did. My big break was a horse trade. Bert, your Les Miserables barricade. About this chair. Did you know there is a vintage French Art Nouveau carved burlwood credenza back there? 10 grand easily. What's a 10 grand credenza doing in a hotel room? I mean, it's a very nice private bungalow, but honestly, what do you think? I'm sure the agreement I have with Vogue under the what I get to keep clause probably doesn't include the hotel furniture. 5 years ago, I'd have gotten the damn furniture. Beautiful credenza, Bert. The Hotel Bel-Air wouldn't notice if it wasn't there. God, my feet are killing me. Can't fashion be done laying flat on your back on a bed? We do, sort of, have a bed. I asked my acting coach, Natasha, to be on set with me. Mr. Houston agreed, which was a surprise. Directors detest acting coaches. Right after actors, wives, and children. Natasha had her eyes on everything I did. She said I was no intellectual, rather a mental beachcomber, picking the minds of others and scooping up knowledge and opinions. We had several codes, ways she could tell me I was doing great or not so. Pick up the tempo, make it more personal. Be sexier, be less sexy. We had signals for everything, so I didn't have to run off into a corner to discuss, which caused delays. My favorite code was, if I wasn't doing what Natasha wanted. Natasha pointed to her own vagina. This was the signal that my performance wasn't coming from the right place. All right, back to business. Shoot the hell out of me. The actor's lab was good for me. If the studio wasn't going to use me while they paid me, I would use myself. The classes, reading plays. I'd never seen a play, let alone read one. I didn't really understand theater. There were lots of words. Talking politics, social issues, stuff about somebody you want to love, somebody you want to kill. At Fox, we were making musicals and stupid comedies. Not sure how the actor's lab was supposed to fit in with us contract players, but I liked going. It was my first taste of what real acting and real drama could be, and I was hooked. More champagne! You look parched, Bert. There is quite a bit about actors, especially famous ones, where people think we don't get it, that we don't see what they do. But we do. There is quite a bit of self-examination, inward looking, navel-gazing. We are obsessed with ourselves. We have to be. Without the obsession, we won't just die. We will be eaten alive, a deadly sport. With Joe, a lot of the ball players used to hang around just to see me. I'd sit in the stands before the games and talk to some of them. They were kids and just liked the idea of going home and telling their friends they knew a movie star. Joe liked showing me off, but he never liked the response it got. I don't know what he was thinking would happen. Every turn seemed to go south with Joe. He came to the set to watch the filming of the musical number Heat Wave for There's No Business Like Show Business. I ran over to him. He would have nothing to do with me. My costume and dance moves embarrassed and angered him. Joe couldn't take it and stormed out. You can see it in the movie if you watch close enough. Singing and dancing, my eyes dart up and over to Joe. There's a look on my face like I just took a punch to the gut. He made sure I saw his big, dramatic exit. I didn't like what I was seeing. It wasn't the quiet, sexy man at the Sunset Strip Italian restaurant. He was long gone. Always had that look, like I couldn't cut the mustard. Always knew what was best for me. The crazy part, when I saw all that in Joe, the controlling, the protecting, the dutiful wife belongs on the mantle, I knew that was the way a guy like him showed how he loved women. We both wanted to change the other. Lock away the movie-land Marilyn and the Joltin' Joe. There was little either of us knew about ourselves except our fame. That's a tough place to start or to end. His fame was in the past, mine was in the future. Being called a sex symbol, I'd rather be a symbol for sex than for some of the other things people are symbols for. The fame, I stayed myself, never tried to be somebody I wasn't. It all seemed to be happening to someone else. For me, it was, what do I do with it? Fame is like caviar, you know. It's good to have caviar, but not when you have to eat it every day. The real lover is the man who can thrill you just by touching your head or smiling into your eyes, or just by staring into space. How are you at staring into space, Bert? It's all make-believe, isn't it? Like Mr. Strasberg suggested, I'm trying to find myself. Sometimes it's not so easy. I always wanted to be a good actress and a good person. By good, maybe I mean different. I have been at this for 16 years. The first 8, I appeared in 24 movies. During the second 8 years, I was only in 5. The fans all over the world stayed with me. Hollywood just thought I was lazy, or drinking, or doing drugs. They weren't entirely wrong. I was a mess in my head. You men, women too, I suppose, you all think all this sexuality, it all just came in a box known as Norma Jean. When I wanted to learn about sex, the best book in the library was What Every Young Lady Should Know About Marriage. The sexiest chapter was about ironing a man's shirts. More champagne! Bert, you can throw that roll of film out right now. No photographs of me grabbing booze will ever exist. Sipping properly is perfectly acceptable. Here you go, Bert. Have champagne. More sipping, less snapping. I always had things to say about script. Marilyn Monroe wouldn't do that. Marilyn Monroe wouldn't make that kind of move. They'd come to her. I talk like that a lot. Years of psychoanalysis. On the couch. It's a game the doc's made up to trick you into talking about yourself. Putting yourself into the third person. Removed. No intimate contact. A pretty dumb trick for a bunch of smart doctors to come up with. Honestly, any dumb blonde like me would know what you're up to in an instant. Still, it was fun to play along. I knew what worked and what didn't better than anybody. I mean, I'm the only one thinking about it all the time. Remember, you've got Marilyn Monroe. You've got to use her. Oh, all right. If moving to New York taught me anything, it was that I, unlike my fans, might not want to be devoted to Marilyn Monroe. I never had a chance to learn anything in Hollywood. They rushed me from one picture into another. They never asked my opinion. They just told me what time to show up for work. Leaving Hollywood and coming to New York, I felt I could be more myself. After all, if I can't be myself, what's the good of being anything at all? All the characters Marilyn created a disguise for. Oops, see what I did? With fame, I had to create a disguise for me just to go out. Old, frumpy clothes, a bad wig, a hat, glasses. And whatever I did, no makeup. New York can be manageable when you don't wear makeup and you look like a forgotten woman. No one pays attention to you. No one wants your autograph. Marilyn Monroe stops traffic. Running into Marilyn Monroe changes the daily plans of everyone. Ruins plans. I had fun coming up with disguises. But Bert, I'm telling you, it wasn't doing much for my identity crisis. Walking in Times Square with an actor friend, she told me the most important thing an actor can learn is to not listen to the voices in your head that says you're not good enough. I thought, you have only one voice? I have a whole committee. Much like the men of my life, New York was not going to be long-term. Hollywood offered me bus stop. Before I left, the actor's studio threw me a challenge. They were nice and called it an offer. I knew it was a challenge. I was asked to act with Maureen Stapleton in the barroom scene of Anna Christie by Eugene O'Neill. It was crazy. That role had been performed by actors far more talented than me, and everyone not only knew it, they had seen those performances. For God's sake, Garbo had done it. What the hell was Marilyn gonna bring to it? The character enters a waterfront saloon and speaks a line only Garbo should ever utter. Give me a whiskey, ginger ale on the side, and don't be stingy, baby. I couldn't see anything before I went on stage. I couldn't feel anything. I couldn't remember one line. All I wanted to do was lie down and die. I suddenly thought, good God, what am I doing here? And then I thought, I had been in worse places. New homes, new families, new men, new movies, all the same. I just had to get out and do it. Audiences at the actor studio were taught never to clap, like we were in church. It was the first time I'd ever heard applause there. I wept over how terrible I had been. Mr. Strasberg and Paula were over the moon. They said I was the best thing ever, which only made me sob more. I knew they didn't mean it. Still, I'm gonna cry when stuff like that gets said about me. I sat in a corner at the back of the room, just the new kid. A girl hoping to be a good actress, hoping one day to mean something. Meanwhile, over at Lowe's State Theater at 48 and Broadway, there was a 52-foot high picture of me on top of the building with my skirt flying up. People always thought they knew who I was. I always knew they were wrong.
This is Scott Edward Smith, the creator of Intimate Fame. Thank you for listening and join us next time. The Last Sitting, Marilyn Monroe, written by Scott Edward Smith, performed by Rachel Ogilvy. Sound design and original music by Chesney Hawkes. Associate producer Melissa Jobe, produced by Howard Gluss.